Hey everyone, welcome back to the readings of Dee's journal. Today, we're going to be reading the updates that come from Chapter 1. So, every character gets a little bit of an update if they've done something important in the story, as well as any new characters get added as well. So, let's get started with the updates to Ring a Bell. To relieve my churning stomach, I looked out across the Fluochimera Sea from the pier. After retrieving a pretty shell I had spotted, I returned to find Agnes nursing Tiz at the bridge. The Skystone was lying in pieces nearby. They said that moments after I left, a man in dark armor had burst in. The updates to Agnes. We visited the Sage of the Yulyana woods to entreat him to make a garb necessary for the Rite of Awakening. After we retrieved the rainbow thread from the cave as requested, the sage worked through the night to complete the Vestal garb. He and Agnes spoke until the early hours of the morning. Agnes held the Tempest Braid aloft, and the crowd's whispers turned to cheers. We slew the creature Orthros, who had latched onto the crystal in the Temple of Wind. Then, at Ares' bidding, we performed the Rite of Awakening. After returning to Ancheim, Agnes silenced the king's criticism and addressed the people. As her speech ended, the wind returned. An update to Adia. While I got some air, we were boarded by the Dark Knight, a leader of the Eternian forces, who proceeded to smash the Skystone. Tiz was knocked unconscious, and Agnes came close to capture until Adia intervened. It seems the Dark Knight is a member of the Council of Six that rules over the Duchy, and a childhood friend of Adia. Update to Aerie. As we reached the crystal with Vestal garb ready, we found a creature latched onto it. Aerie identified it as Orthros, the bringer of doom. We defeated the monster, and under Aerie's guidance, Agnes awakened the wind crystal and banished the darkness around it to restore its shield. The wind crest on Aerie's brooch lit up. Now for the new entries, starting with Kamer VIII, King of Ancheim. Elok Quintus Kamer VIII, King of Ancheim, the land of sand and time. After the wind stopped blowing, he forced his people to turn the turbines by hand to secure the power to revive his nation's industrial sector. He is obsessed with progress and has little regard for the old ways. After inheriting the throne from the previous king, Silvat Angdis King Kamer VII, he invested so deeply in industrialization that his coffers were blood dry. He prides himself on his exactness, calling himself the Timekeeper King, but is mocked for his timid nature. Annoyed that his people still follow crystalism instead of joining the march of progress, he grew to hate the Vestal, who enjoyed popular sentiment without having to earn it. After suggesting she investigate the chasm, he announced she had fled the kingdom. When she returned, he demanded she get the wind blowing again as soon as possible. Seeing an ominous light at the temple where the Vestal had headed, and noting the wind had not returned, the king of Ancheim saw his chance and gleefully addressed his people. However, Agnes appeared and held Tempest Braid aloft, and before the crowd's eyes, the wind began to blow again. Vexed and embarrassed, the king confined himself to his chambers. Prime Minister Harina announced that King Elok Quintus Kamer VIII of Ancheim has died after a sudden bout of illness. It seems the Prime Minister will oversee the government for the time being. Unfortunately for the late king, Ancheim now seemed more peaceful than ever. Sage Yulyana, the Old Tailor. A tailor living in the Yulyana woods, who we asked to make the Vestal garb we needed to awaken the crystals. An easygoing, good-natured fellow. It seems the Vestal herself had to gather the rainbow thread for her Vestal garb. Following the sage's instructions, we faced a number of challenges, even a dragon. After we retrieved the rainbow thread, the sage worked through the night to fashion it into the Vestal garb. I hear the sage and Agnes spoke in hushed tones until dawn. Prime Minister Harina, an honest man left to govern Ancheim by the king, who was understanding and kind toward Agnes, and offered advice and support. A 39-year-old man from the Harina region. His keen mind worked behind the scenes to bring the kingdom back from the brink of exhaustion. He is descended from the Harina dynasty, which preceded the current one. Likes sand baths and pickles, dislikes foolish royal despots. We told Prime Minister Harina that the king of Ancheim, who plotted to expel the Vestal, was actually the slain Time Age Kamer of the Duchy. We asked him what would become of Ancheim, and he told us that he would take the helm, but eventually the power would shift to the people. He wished us luck on our travels, and told the Vestal he eagerly awaited her return. Chairman Profiteer. Chairman of Kamer and Profiteer Merchantry, which is based in Ancheim. The king gave him rights to sell water pumped from beneath Ancheim by the Grand Mill, and his place of business is second only to the king's palace in opulence. Altinus the Dark Knight, Council of Six, a knight encased in jet black armor. One of the Council of Six, and an old friend of Adia. He shattered the Skystone on the echelon. A 23-year-old man of unknown origin. His name is Altinus Din, bearer of the Dark Knight Asterisk. Wearing jet black armor and wielding a dark blade, he is a solemn warrior who takes his duties very seriously. Likes Adia and coffee. Dislikes deserts, little girls, and intellectuals. After sneaking on board the Echelot, he knocked Tiz unconscious and tried to take Anias captive. Adia intervened just in time, and as he was unwilling to fight her, he withdrew. He smashed the Skystone before he left, hoping to hinder the Vestal. I am curious about his history with Adia. Jackal the Thief, Karma and Profiteer Merchantry. The leader of a band of several dozen cold-hearted thieves that call Harina Ruins home. He is constantly thirsty and irritated. A 16-year-old boy hailing from Ancheim. His real name is not known. He holds the thief asterisk. He was taken in by thieves as a young boy, gradually rising up the ranks through his accomplished thievery and sheer recklessness. Likes water and isolation. Dislikes thirst, reasoning, and raw vegetables. Tiz was furious at the Jackal using his misfortune as an excuse to cause harm to others, having lost everything to the Great Chasm himself. The sneering Jackal summoned his bodyguard, Kint, and launched an attack. Despite paying Kint a large sum, his muscle left him in the lurch. He went to his death, cursing his ill luck. Amongst his spoils, we find an item of interest, orders to attack those who came to draw water at the oasis, signed by Chairman Profiteer. It seems the merchantry had recruited the thieves so they could maintain the high prices they were charging for water. Profiteer, Merchant of Death, Chairman of Karma and Profiteer Merchantry. The Merchant of Death who used his monopoly on water to raise prices, then used the Jackal to attack people forced to go to the oasis. A 44-year-old man from Ancheim. His name is Arudus Profiteer, and he holds the Merchant Asterisk. He would do anything for money. He willingly earns scorn and enmity, and thinks nothing of betraying trust and friendship for gain. Likes money, profit, and corruption. Dislikes justice, purity, and long meetings. At the Merchantry Building, we thrust the orders we found at the Thieves' Hideout under Profiteer's nose. He then showed his true colors, and came at us with the mysterious swordman that had joined the Jackal. After a deadly struggle, we came out on top. The avaricious merchant was abandoned by his hired bodyguard in the end, and met a pitiful death. On Profiteer's desk, we found some mysterious unsigned papers. Spell Fencer Kint, Chimera and Profiteer Merchantry. A spell fencer who will do anything for money, working as a messenger and bodyguard for other merchantry members. A 37-year-old man from Eternia. Sigma Kint is holder of the Spell Fencer Asterisk. He turned his back on his old life to learn sword magic several years ago. Since then, none have seen him smile. Likes money, dislikes talkative types, and memories of his family. Having lost his standing due to the Vestal's popularity with the people, the king of Ancheim desired to kill her and steal the crystal. Upon seeing Anyas, he revealed himself as Time Mage Kamer. He attacked us together with the spell fencer Sigma Kint. After an arduous fight, we prevailed. Before his demise, Sigma said something about having achieved his objective. Time Mage Kamer and Profiteer Merchantry. Sympathetic to the cause of anti-crystalism, he uses his position to aid the duchy, such as by giving the merchantry control of the water supply. A 57-year-old man who was born in Ancheim. He is keeper of the Time Mage Asterisk, who is made an honorary partner in the merchantry due to his royal position and cooperation with the duchy. However, he has no actual say in the business. Likes automation and heavy industry. Dislikes politics, critics, vestals, and the unwashed masses. Sneaking into the palace in the dead of night, we found the king of Ancheim talking to spell fencer Sigma Kint. It seems he gave the water rights to the merchantry to impoverish the people and turn them against the Vestal. Though his aim was to spread the anti-crystalism supported by the duchy, the appearance of the Wind Vestal foiled all of his plans. People's faith in the Vestal continued to rise, and having lost all standing, the king began to fantasize about killing the Vestal and stealing the crystal. Revealing himself to be Time Mage Kamer after Anyas appeared, he attacked us together with the spell fencer Sigma Kint. Upon their defeat, the king continued to spout selfish drivel until he expired. Ancheim, the land of sand and time. An update to Ancheim, the land of sand and time. The weary city. It was once said that the wind was Ancheim's lifeblood, but now that the air has gone still, the great windmills have ground to a halt. Without the power to even draw water from their wells, its people must work around the clock to turn the great turbines manually. The vibrant city. Returned to Ancheim after awakening the wind crystal, we found that the wind blows across the desert city once more. Its great windmills turn swiftly, powered by the southern winds, and across the city, the gears have sprung back to life. In hushed tones, the Prime Minister noted that joy and vitality have returned to the people. Royal Palace. The Palace of Eloquentus Kamer VIII, King of Ancheim. is housed in an exceptionally tall tower on the east side of the city. A great clock dial, the symbol of this land, is carved in the wall behind his throne. Immense gears and mechanisms befitting a king who promoted Ancheim's industrialization can be seen here and there. Looking around, it's not easy to tell what all this machinery actually does. Merchantry Building. This mechanical tower in the east of the city was erected in a prime location second only to the royal palace. Inside is an open soaring space all the way up to the ceiling, and underneath, strange gigantic gears turn endlessly. It is brilliantly lit, despite the fact that all power is supplied by human labor, now that the wind has stopped. Temple of Wind. This slender, spiral-shaped tower stands alone south of Ancheim, at the edge of the Harina Desert. House of Lore. A hushed silence pervaded the temple. The walls and pillars of the living quarters, sanctums, and reliquary crumbled, and many acolytes were swallowed by darkness. Altar of the Crystal. In the innermost depths of the temple, a cavernous space opened up before us, and there, floating high in the air, was a great crystal of immense proportions. The Awakening. Arrayed in her vestal garb, Agnes chanted the ritual prayer to awaken the wind crystal, which had been swallowed up in darkness. The crystal has now regained its radiance, and is protected by a magic barrier. The Oasis. We've been told of an oasis where the water is free. After traveling west from Ancheim, we eventually found it amid the scorching sands. Den of Thieves. Venturing deeper into the Harina ruins in pursuit of the thieves, we found their lair piled high with plunder, no doubt stolen at the oasis. Yulyana region. This large peninsula east of the Florsheim Inner Sea and northeast of Ancheim is distinguished by its forest and lake. Forest and lake. A small lake lies amid vast woodlands. At its northern edge is a dock along with a lonely old house that looks like it was built into the hollow of a great tree. Yulyana Woods Needleworks. The sage's home and workshop built into a tree hollow by the lake. It has space to lodge visitors and is filled with the sage's creations. Vestment Cave. The sage has asked us to fetch rainbow thread from the depths of this mossy cave. It can be reached by proceeding clockwise around the lake from his home. An update to crystals. Awakening the crystals. The vessel's act of exorcising the evil that has befallen a crystal is known as awakening. It is said that a vessel arrayed in sacred vestments can awaken a crystal and return it to its normal state by continually praying until her breathing aligns with its natural rhythm. The vessel's act of exorcising the evil that has befallen a crystal is known as awakening. It is said that a vessel arrayed in sacred vestments. The vessel's act of exorcising the evil that has befallen a crystal is known as awakening. It is said that a vessel arrayed in sacred vestments can awaken a crystal and return it to its normal state by continually praying until her breathing aligns with its natural rhythm. Vestal garb. A vestal must wear these vestments when performing the rite of awakening, which exorcises any evil that has befallen the crystal. The garb is specific to each vestal and cannot be borrowed. Rainbow thread. This is the main material of the vestal garb that a vestal must wear when performing the rite of awakening on a crystal, and the vestal must fetch it herself. The Crystal Temples. These sacred sites dedicated to the crystals have existed long before the advent of crystalism, and indeed even before recorded history. Vestal and acolyte alike live in the temples, where they faithfully pray to the crystals, and the folk of the region flock there to worship. It is still a mystery why the four temples have a uniform architectural style, despite being built in separate regions that developed vastly different civilizations. An update to the Duchy of Eternia. Duchy government. A kinsman of the kings who once ruled Eternia 2,000 years ago was chosen to rule the duchy as its archduke, but all administrative, judicial, scientific, and medical functions, as well as the 4 divisions of Eternian forces, are under the control of the Council of Six, the duchy's highest governing body.